Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Lex Buds and Pick and Roll podcast. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Brandon.
And with you, as always, is Tyler.
Tyler, I tell you what, this is two in a row via Zoom, but we keep on rolling. I am sitting here as we speak at a Disney World resort, recording this on my vacation. You know why?
Why is that? I can't imagine why.
I've actually asked myself that on the way here. I don't know, but I feel like we are obligated to do that for the people that download our podcast, follow our website. I don't want to let them down, man. I can't do it.
Very dedicated, sir. The fans will much appreciate your effort.
Yeah, and for anybody that can't see the visual of this, I've got on a Pizza Planet mask under my chin just in case they ask me to pull it up. And I've got my Pizza Planet shirt.
Well, what is Pizza Planet? I'm not familiar with pizza.
You are, if you think about it just a little bit, Tyler. It's from Toy Story. It's the pizza place from Toy Story where Buzz Lightyear goes, and, yeah, he thinks that he's going to get on a spaceship at Pizza Planet on the spaceship back
there. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I've never seen Toy Story.
You get out of here right now. Everybody's seen Toy Story. Are you kidding me?
I've never seen it. I've not seen any of them. There's like 14 of them, I think, and I've not seen one.
Yeah. You have two kids, Tyler.
Well, they're not old enough to watch movies yet, though. They're not of movie watching age yet.
Oh my God!
But
I can't believe this. Okay. I thought everybody had seen at least one of those at some point.
Well, I guess we can now start a list of movies I haven't seen. You know, you've got your list of Die Hard and Top Gun to get to work on. So I'll start a list and put Toy Story at the top. Yeah,
and you can also tell I haven't shaved in the last week because I've covered my face with a mask. So I don't feel the need to shave necessarily. So I just kind of let it go. And this is what I look like when I let it go. Yeah, I hope you appreciate that, Tyler.
You look like $1 million.
I know that. Well, and this is kind of exciting too, Tyler. You and I talked about shaking things up on the show a little bit, maybe changing the format. And we are going to do that. You'll notice a little change in the show starting next week. We got some really cool stuff coming, some basically fun ways to still bring you a lot of information, but in a different way. And we'll share that when we announce our next episode. But Tyler, there's a ton of sports. There's a ton of stuff going on in the world of UK. And we've got to burn through this. We've got a lot to talk about.
A lot has happened in the last week. We've had 2 basketball games, a football game. There's just crazy sports news going on all over the country. So why don't we just start kind of chronologically and work our way up? We're recording on Sunday. So let's work our way back to about I guess it was Wednesday was the first basketball game of the season. We got a little pre-Thanksgiving basketball, which was great. You know, most people's last day of work was Wednesday. I know mine was. Mm-hmm. So it was great. You get off work, you eat dinner, and then boom, Cats are playing basketball, and all seemed right in the world for one evening. It was wonderful. Kentucky stomped Moorhead. It was about as good of an opening game as we've seen from the Cats in a long time. Feels like we always struggle in these opening games for whatever reason. Even going back to the John Wall team, when they barely beat Miami of Ohio in John Wall's first game. But this was, an unusual game that we dominated from beginning to end. Most everybody who played looked pretty good. I think everybody was riding high on aspirations of Final Four and national championships after the Moorhead game.
I was. Who has 2 thumbs and thought the same thing? This guy. I mean, they look great. They look like world beaters. And, for the first game of the year, when you dominate a D1 team like that, you're feeling pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Moorhead's been in the tournament in previous years, so it's not – when you see us whoop up on them like that, it's a good feeling.
It was. And I thought, like I said, everybody looked great. Cameron Fletcher just looked like – the 6th man of the year coming in off the bench. He was spectacular. Boston looked great. Looks like he could get to the rim anytime he wants. Just solid play all the way around. And it looked like we were off to a great start to the season after that one.
Well, and, it was funny because we heard some rumors about a really bad scrimmage in the practice, I guess, right before the game. And you thought, oh, no. But maybe that was just – They were knocking the rust off, and they're ready to go. They want to play other teams. They're tired of playing each other. They need to play somebody else, and then they get out and they just lay the hammer down on Moorhead. That was great. I have no complaints about it. Everybody looked good. They shared the ball well. Olivier Sarr looked really good. That was one of the big question marks for me, because I think it's pretty apparent that if he doesn't perform at a very high level, we're going to have a hard time winning, without a strong down low presence. So it was good to see him play well. I had no complaints. Boston looked great, just like you said. I'm riding high just like you, man. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, we were.
But then,
yeah, well, we'll get to that. Just slow down a little bit. We got to get to Saturday. We got to get to Saturday first, which was the football game.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about the UK Florida game.
Oh, jeez.
This was. Let's start with the good. We'll do the good and then the bad, which there's more bad, but some positives from the Florida game. We had the lead.
I can't wait to hear them.
We had the lead at one point. We were up 10-7. We put together back-to-back scoring drives to take the lead. We were moving the ball pretty consistently. We were dominating time of possession. We were keeping Kyle Trask and that Gators offense off the field. We have played Florida very well pretty much all the Stoops era. I mean, we've always been very competitive with Florida. In several games, we have dominated them at the line of scrimmage. And you kind of got the idea, maybe we could do that again. We looked very good for about the first 29 minutes of the first half. It looked like we were going to go to halftime with a lead. Unfortunately, I don't know what Stoops was thinking. I mean, Florida had the ball with like a couple minutes left, and they got the ball at midfield, and Stoops is calling timeouts to try to get the ball back with a minute left. And I'm like, Stoops, it takes us 2 minutes just to get a first down. Like, we're not going to drive the ball the length of the field and score with a couple minutes left in the quarter. We haven't done that all year. We cannot.
Now you want to get aggressive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The whole season we've been super conservative, and then it's like, well, I'm going to pick right now to be overly aggressive.
Yeah, so I don't get time management for this coaching staff. Has always been an issue, but we get the stop. Florida punts. We, of course, then immediately go 3 and out and have to punt the ball right back. But you're still thinking, okay, worst case scenario. I mean, Florida may be able to kick a field goal or something, but no. We shanked the punt. They return it 50 yards for a touchdown. And as a long-suffering UK fan, we know the game was over at that point. When something like that happens, when we're playing Florida or Tennessee, you just know we're not overcoming that, because we don't ever overcome the big play like that. When's the last time you ever saw Kentucky come storming back in a game against Florida? It just doesn't happen. So for me, the game was over at halftime at that point.
I think if you're a UK fan and you've been through it like you and I have, we felt the same thing, Tyler. One other positive thing I want to make note of is we were tied 0-0 at opening kickoff as well. So that was a big plus for us. The other thing, with this team on offense, I think we need to take the 3 goggles from the basketball team and use that for the 3 and outs that we have for football. And just do the 3 goggles, except it's for 3 and outs.
For 3 and out.
Yeah, 3 and outs. You know what I mean? We're going to start throwing those up in the stands. It's getting brutal, man. It's getting past the point of even making fun of. There's a serious systemic problem with our offense, and it's parts probably offensive coordinator. It's parts quarterback play that has been subpar, and it's parts wide receivers that aren't getting open. I think the only person on the team that's making the offense work right now is our offensive line and Chris Rodriguez, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, so he wasn't playing.
So when you don't have that, it's just a recipe for disaster. That's our only offense right now. We cannot complete passes. Our wide receivers are not getting open, and it just makes it really difficult. And in a way, it kind of puts Eddie Grant in a spot, because what do you do? What do you do? In my opinion, if you're going to lose by 30 points a game, I would still at least try. What, are you going to lose by 35 or 40? I'd rather go out fighting than the way that we, do our play calling currently. It's just a big mess. There's a huge problem I worry about recruiting down the road. You got recruits watching these games. We just had a decommitment from the wide receiver over the weekend as well. Those are the things that are going to start to add up. If you're a wide receiver and you're watching these games with your family, and let's face it, I was a tutor for student athletes at UK while I was at school there. I've heard some stories of family life that you would not believe from these students, that this is their one shot to do something. So if you're sitting there as a high school senior and you've got a rough family situation, your family's counting on you to do something big, are you going to take that chance with your family and their financial stake and put that on the line to play at an offense that is not proven, that can't move the ball? Put yourself in their shoes and ask what you would do. That's one of my biggest concerns right now, is these kids are going to look at their moms and dads barely making it, looking at this offense and saying, well, wait a minute, maybe the odds are better somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought.
It's kind of two sides of the coin. It's all about perspective. I mean, you could be a high school kid and you could be seeing that and think exactly what you think. Or they may think, well, hey, all they're missing is me. All they're missing is that elite wide receiver that can come in and just completely change things offensively. Because let's be honest, we don't have any elite receivers. Josh Ali is a good receiver, but he's not a high level SEC talent. He would be a great number 2 receiver on this team, but we don't have any number 1. So yeah, it's all about perspective. But yeah, I totally get. And as we saw one decommitment already this week, the passing game is just absolutely abysmal. I guess maybe the one bright spot was Keaton Upshaw, the tight end, who caught the only touchdown of the game. There also happened to be, I don't know if you saw the tweets from our defensive tackle, Quentin Bohanna, after the game.
Yes, I did see that. Sure did.
Quentin
it's always
Bohanna
good to see, right?
was tweeting with Micah Edwards, a former UK player, about how Keaton Upshaw needed to get the ball more. And Bohanna basically said, bro, don't even get me started on that topic. So there is some frustration. Apparently Terry Wilson sent out a Snapchat after the game saying that he's, I don't know, going to start telling people how bad things are. I don't know. There was just a lot of social media stuff afterwards that you don't like to see. So just piling on the abysmal season that we have, it seems like the players are not seeing eye to eye with the coaching staff at this point.
That's what happens when you lose, though. Whenever you lose and, things aren't going well, people start piling on. If they were winning the games and there were still some unrest in the locker room, people would say, well, we'll get over it. We're still winning games, right? But when you start losing, people think they have free reign just to start criticizing. All the Twitter stuff's got to stop. At some point, they're going to have to put a stop on that. I don't know how you do it, but it's not healthy. It's not good for the team, but we'll see where that goes. It's not looking good. I almost want to call the season just a mulligan and say, you know what? Weird year, weird time. Let's just forget it ever happened and move on.
Yeah, well, that was actually a question I wanted to ask.
I'm kind of done. I'm done with it at this point.
It's funny because we were so excited for football to start, and now we're all just kind of like, please God, let it be over. Like, put us out of our misery. This is horrible. It's not even any fun to watch this team. It's just not fun watching us put up 46 total yards in the second half. 46 yards in an entire half in the second half against Florida. It's just painful, and I'm kind of like, just put us out of our misery at this point. Let's get this South Carolina game over with. And after Wednesday night, I'm like, let's move on to basketball, baby, because the basketball team is rolling. Yep. I felt great coming into today. I'm like, we're about to be 2-0 against the Richmond Spiders. And then the air was let out of the balloon.
Oh, boy, was
Brandon,
it ever.
What were your thoughts on the Richmond game today?
Well, I'm disappointed because today, I was at the theme park with my kids. And while we're standing in line, I've got my headphones in, I got my phone going, listening to the game, watching the clips on the ESPN app. And it just really upset me. It kind of ruined my day. This vacation's been rough with UK sports. We've had, the football game yesterday on Saturday, and then this. It just goes to show what happens when you have a young team. And I know Cal Perry says that all the time. We've got a young team. It's going to take some time to develop. But I'm kind of getting tired of these early season losses. if you want me to go into the details of the game, here's what happened. They didn't pass the ball. They were selfish and nothing went right. Basically, they played an experienced team and they got their tail handed to them pretty easily. That's the summary of the whole game. And that's it. 3-point shooting was terrible. We knew that was going to be a problem coming into the game. I'm just tired of these early season losses because it seems like we have them every year. And then, some fans will say, well, just wait till February. Well, I'm kind of tired of waiting November, December, January, 3 months out of the basketball season, putting up with very mediocre basketball. When UK was, in their prime, I think in the 90s, that's just my opinion, it was heartbreaking when you lost a game and you expected excellence from the first game all the way through the season. And that's why we are the best basketball program in the history of basketball, right? When you start not expecting excellence through the whole season and just expecting it from the back half of January on, you're just accepting the fact that people can, just let those early season losses pile up. Teams get used to losing, and you get teams like we've had the last 5 years that have not performed up to snuff the way they should. And that's just maybe a harsh criticism, but it's the truth, in my opinion.
No, I 100% agree with you on that. These early season losses, it's like, okay, yeah, we're probably going to get better. This team isn't going to be the same team in March, but it's like, I mean, Alabama football doesn't lose early season games. Like there are equivalent in college football. Like you wouldn't see Alabama fans saying, "Oh, just wait till December. It's fine if we lose a game, in September, October." No, they don't accept that. And why should we as UK fans accept that? I think it's unacceptable. It might be more acceptable if the payoff the last 5 years had been worth it, but we've had no Final Fours in the last 5 years. So what's the point of, going through all these devastating losses that are extremely frustrating? I wanted to pull my hair out today. But we always say, Cal will have them ready by March. Well, okay, he's had them ready for March for Elite Eight runs and Sweet 16 and second round runs. No Final Fours. Okay, so what's the payoff for us? Like we're getting marginally better throughout the season, but it's still not to the point that we expect the team to be. We expect Final Fours at Kentucky. We expect, a national championship every now and then. But the frustrations that we see at the beginning of every season, I'd be willing to put up with them a little more if we'd had some more success in March the last couple of years. So the fact that we're losing games, we're not going to Final Fours, what are we doing? This is not fun. It's not fun for me.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem when you put all of your eggs in the NCAA tournament basket, which we know is very random and anything can happen, and the best team doesn't always win, right? Calipari's put all his chips in that basket. Every year, like I said, he says, well, we'll have them ready. It's going to take some time for this team to develop. He's openly said he doesn't really care for the SEC tournament either. So you're basically pushing all your chips out of the regular season, the conference season, the SEC tournament, all into the NCAA tournament outcome. And when you don't win that or come close to winning that, that's a problem. You put all your eggs in one basket, and now he can't rely on the fact of saying, we were SEC regular season champs, SEC tournament champs. You told us you didn't care about that. We're not supposed to care about that until the NCAA tournament. So I think he's painted himself into a corner. Maybe he realizes it, but I think he's too stubborn to change his opinion on that. And that's perfectly fine. That may be how he is, and that's okay. Some people are that way. But, the reason that we have built, the program to the point where we are is because we expect excellence all the time. This isn't AAU basketball where a lot of these kids came from, where you play 4 games in a day in a tournament in Florida. And if you lose 2 of them, well, you still get to go home and just hang out. This is big-time basketball now, and the losses don't go over as well with fans as they do with your family and friends in the stands for all these AAU tournaments. It doesn't work. This isn't the Peach Jam. This is the NCAA, and you're playing for the best program in the history of college basketball. You got to do better, and Cal's got to do better and get that message across.
Yeah, and
was that too harsh?
No, not at all. I'm 100% on board with you on that one. You hope that they learn from it today. We saw several instances when we got down of everybody wanting to try to do everything themselves. There was no passing. Mm-hmm. We had like 5 assists for the entire game. It was just me. Let me make a play. Let me try to bring the team back. And it was just not good basketball. We had 21 turnovers. We were 0 for 10 from the three-point line. Only the second time, in the last 30 years that we haven't hit a three-pointer in a game. Both of them have been Calipari teams.
Yeah.
I don't understand, the rest of the basketball world has realized the importance of having a good three-point shooting team, except for, it seems, for John Calipari. Because we, year after year, continue to struggle shooting the three. Looks like this team is going to be another one of those. So it, kind of makes you wonder how far can this team actually go if they can't hit an open three?
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I will say, of course, now I'm going to sound like the fans that I was just criticizing, but it's the second college game for some of these guys. And you got guys like BJ Boston, Terrence Clark, that you can see the athleticism is just off the charts. They're going to grow and get better. So you see potential in something moving forward there. These aren't, I won't say second-tier recruits like we've been getting the last 5 years. These are elite-level guys that maybe by the end of the year turn into something we can't even see right now. Okay, but it's still going to produce mediocrity for the next 2 months. I don't like it. I don't like losing. And, I think it's become so common that people don't even get upset about it anymore. And that's the most frustrating part to me is it's becoming an accepted thing.
Yeah, and I would love to hear from some of our listeners. If you are frustrated like us, send us a message, send us a tweet, let us know at LexBuds. We want to know what the average fans are thinking. Maybe it's just us. Maybe we're the only two that are extremely frustrated. Maybe everybody else is fine with, letting the team grow and letting this play out. But if you are frustrated, let us know. Or if you think, hey, it's the second game of the season, this team will be better by March, let us know too. We want to hear from you. Brandon, for the rest of this segment, I've got some kind of quick hitters on some UK and some sports topics in general. So we're just going to kind of do a little rapid fire. I'm going to give you a topic. You quickly give me your thoughts on it. That sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I want to apologize in advance again. I'm in a lobby of a Disney World resort, and I think Grandma got run over by a reindeer, has played over the intercom about 4 or 5 times. So for the audience, I do apologize. That's not me playing it in my room on my jukebox. If people still use jukeboxes, that's just the sound that we're going to have to get through. So just bear with us.
Do they just have that on loop? Why is it playing over and over? Is that the only song they have?
I don't know, but they really got it going out here. It's festive. They got all the lights up. But anyway, let's go through them, Tyler. What do you got?
Fantastic. Okay, so we've had 2 games at Rupp Arena so far. I know we talked about this previously, the fact that many restaurants, things are shut down, but Rupp Arena can still have fans. They've taken a few precautions, one being that you can no longer have a paper ticket. You get the ticket scanned on your phone. There is no food served at Rupp Arena, and all the fans have to wear a mask during the game. Are you satisfied with those precautions? Are you still upset that fans are being let in at all? What do you think on fans at Rupp and these safety precautions being made?
Well, I think safety precautions were already made in the other businesses that have been shut down. What's the difference? It's a building. It's a bigger building, but it's still a building with people in it. Either you close it all or you don't. You know what I mean? If you start doing it based on, dollars and cents, well, small businesses rely on dollars and cents to get by and pay the bills every month. So you can't pick which money you want. You know what I mean? It just doesn't add up to me. Either close them all or don't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me at all.
I'm very confused by the tickets on the mobile device, because every time I've gone to a game, I have my ticket. They just scan the ticket. Like, I don't actually have to hand my ticket to anyone. Like, it's not like the old days where they're tearing off the stub on the end to make sure I don't re-enter.
That's right.
It's all on the system there when they scan it in. I don't know what the point of not. I mean, it seems to all be the same. I don't know how getting rid of paper tickets is going to somehow eliminate the coronavirus from entering Rupp Arena. Seems just a little silly to me. Plus, maybe I'm just old. I miss the nostalgia of having an actual paper ticket. I've got a whole drawer. I got a whole drawer full of old concert and basketball tickets that I will keep for the rest of my life. And now I will apparently never have those ever again. I'll just scan them on my phone.
That's all right. I think that's for the better, Tyler. Actually, I'm for these restrictions if it'll get you from to stop using paper tickets. You need to stop. It's over.
I'm gonna go get them here one episode and we'll just go through my memory of tickets here. But also at Rupp Arena, you've got the cardboard cutouts. We saw Nick Richards at the game on Wednesday sitting next to a cardboard cutout of Nick Richards, which I thought was amazing.
It was great. I love that. Yeah.
I think these are very cool. What they're doing, it does make it actually look like there's, from a distance, sometimes you can't even tell if it's a person or a cutout. So I'm all for the cardboard cutouts. I think this is a great idea. I think we need to get a Lex Buds and Pick and Roll cardboard cutout. Do you think if we put just a big picture of us and a Lex Buds logo, they would probably kick that out, right? That would be like us trying to promote.
Question.
Could people just put a big logo of their business on the cardboard cutouts?
Well, heaven forbid, they try to promote a small business. We don't do that in Kentucky. We know that. We just talked about that. The other thing with the cardboard cutouts, one unique thing, Tyler, that a lot of people don't, was those cutouts actually make more noise during the games than the people that normally sit in the lower bowl.
Oh, hey-o.
So that's hey-o, zing. So, it's fine. But, if I'm going to get a cardboard cutout, I probably won't put it into the back half of January when we're supposed to talk about basketball. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Save your money till January.
I'm not bitter, though, but go ahead.
All right. So we talked about home games. I don't know if you saw this news, Brandon, but for road games this basketball season, Tom Leach, the voice of the Wildcats, is going to be calling all the away games from studio. He is not going to be traveling to the away games.
That hurts so bad. I saw that. I mean, what do you think when you see something like that, Tyler? Because to me, Leach is essential to being at the games.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I feel like calling a basketball game would be hard enough while you're there, but calling a basketball game that you're just sitting and watching on a screen, that seems like it would be extremely difficult. And I know Tom Leach is, I think, biasly, I think the best in the business. He is fantastic. When I hear other play-by-play announcers, I'm like, that guy sucks. Like Tom Leach,
we're very lucky.
He gets me jacked up on anytime there's a big play, and nobody gets as excited as Tom Leach. I wonder how that will come through when he's not actually there, feeling the emotion, watching on a like I said, on computer screen. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I worry how that will turn out. I get why they're doing it, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Maybe you and I should try calling a game one time and just see how it goes. See what it's like.
See, this is the weird thing is calling a game from home is what everybody else is doing anyway. That's what we're all doing. We're sitting around and watch these games. I mean, we're mentally calling it's just tricky. The reason you want Tom Leach there is because he's there in the atmosphere. He can catch things that the camera cannot catch. He can catch the little things that the players or the coaches are saying to each other. They can hear what the referees are talking about, what the scorekeepers are talking about. So if there's a scenario where there's confusion on the court, somebody doesn't know what's going on, he's not going to be able to break in and say, it looks like they're talking about this or this. He's literally just going to be taking what we already know on the screen and telling it to everybody. I just don't know how that adds any value. And plus, you hear the roar of the crowd, behind Leach as he's calling the game, and you can hear, the noise occasionally. You're going to miss that. I hated to see it. I'm bummed. Leach is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point. That we're not going to have the inside information because you don't get much information from the TV screen. So we're probably not going to get that Tom Leach scoop that we usually get. Going over to the women's basketball.
Yeah.
They opened their season last week as well without the star player. Ryan Howard was suspended for, I think they said a violation of team rules. Is that right?
That's the politically correct term for whatever actually happened. Yes.
Yeah. I give some credit to the coach for that. That's a gutsy move. I mean, you just took over this job when Matthew Mitchell had to step down. So for her to suspend a potential All-American Player of the Year candidate, I think it could go either one of two ways. It could show that, hey, I'm here, I'm serious, I mean business, I'm not going to tolerate it, and the players will quickly fall in line. Or this kind of sets the tone that she's maybe kind of lost control, that she's already having to suspend players and the season's not even started yet. You know, maybe the players aren't respecting the rules now, or, you know, I don't know. I think it could go either way, that she's either lost control already or she's establishing control by doing this from the very beginning. So I'm interested to see how this ends up playing out.
Yeah, and for my money, I think of it. This is a really terrible analogy, but I'll use it. You remember coming into class and you would have a substitute teacher? Well, this substitute teacher is going to be a long-term sub, okay? And you try to figure out what you can get away with and what you can't, because it's obviously not the same teacher you had, but they're still going to try to cover the same material. So you try to push the boundaries, and she may have tried to push the boundaries a little bit. As a student who may or may not have done that with substitute teachers when they were in school, I have to give both Howard a little bit of, you know, I don't want to come off too harsh on Ryan Howard, just because, you know, I don't know the whole situation there. But maybe she was just trying to see where she could push things. On the other hand, you don't want your All-American player, the leader of your team, to be pushing boundaries. Instead, you should be pushing them in the other way and showing how to lead a team when things are in turmoil. I'm not saying that everything's terrible with the women's basketball team. I'm just saying there was obviously a major shakeup. And the last thing you need to do is add more fuel to the fire that's going on there. If anything, you should bring a calming presence, show your leadership, show why you're an All-American, and lead the team that way. Because there's other players that are coming up that'll take minutes. They may not take Ryan Howard's minutes, but for any other players that are trying to push it like Howard did, their minutes will probably dwindle. You know, we've got a very deep team, and you better step up and play and be a leader, or there's other people that will come in right behind you and take your spot. Step up, follow the rules, help your coach out, help the program out, make us look good.
Yeah, I do give her credit, because that took some guts when you suspend your best player like that. So she's definitely not going to back down. It doesn't look like.
I thought it was a good move, though. You got to do it. Doesn't matter who it is. You got to do it.
You do. I agree. Speaking of female athletes, we had a historical game this weekend. The first ever female SEC football player for Vanderbilt got into action, got to do the opening kickoff of the second half, and what was just a really cool moment. You know, I saw lots of people on social media, a lot of, you know, female sports writers and female journalists that just were kind of saying how proud they were, what an awesome moment it was. I saw a lot of people saying, you know, they cried seeing her kick off. So, you know, just a really cool moment. Unfortunately, it wasn't the greatest kick, but I think in the grand scheme of things,
I think it was planned. Was it planned
really
that way?
I think
was
so.
It planned to be a squib kick?
Yeah, I think it was planned to be a squib kick, but, you know, lots of, you know, keyboard warriors and, you know, bros were, you know, making fun of the kick online, which just shows how ridiculous Twitter and social media can be, that people couldn't appreciate that moment for what it was.
Yeah, I appreciate the moment for what it was. I mean, it was something different. I mean, heck, anything Vandy could do to do something, I mean, they're terrible. I mean, let's be honest. Vandy has probably historically one of the worst teams in college football history. Unfortunately, we only beat them by 3 points a couple of weeks ago, so that doesn't really say much for us. But, you know, it also opens up the debate for this whole, you know, and this is something that's talked about a lot, is should women be able to join men's sports? Because then the converse of that is, well, could men just go play on the women's sports? Which is a legitimate question. I don't know the answer. I mean, I think I know the answer. So it just opens up debate for things like that. And when you get into those debates, those can be very divisive, and people really can't express their own opinions because they're afraid of offending someone. And it's just a whole rigmarole. I mean, the moment was good. Enjoy the moment. You know, for me, maybe I'm old school. I like to see men play men's sports and women play women's sports. You know, I know Vanderbilt doesn't have a men's soccer team, for example. Right. So if there were some men's players, you know, on campus at Vanderbilt that said I wanted to join the women's team and play for the women's Vanderbilt soccer team because we don't have a soccer team, I would feel the same way. I'd be like, well, to me, just keep it separate. I'm just a traditionalist in that sense, though. But am I going to bash somebody for stepping up and helping their school and executing a kick the way the coach actually told her to kick? No. That was the plan. She helped out her school. They don't have a kicker. What's the big deal?
Yeah,
that's what you do. I think it was actually a cool leadership move. Was it Is it Sarah Fuller? I'm trying to remember.
I believe that is. Yeah, Fuller was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's cool that she stepped up to do that because obviously she's going to get a lot of criticism. So I thought it was pretty cool that she had I appreciate people that take chances and have guts to do something when you know you're going to take crap for it. So just from that alone, even if it was, she didn't kick it through the end zone, for people to step up and do that, I think is pretty gutsy, and I like that.
Yeah, and all the people calling her out on Twitter, I would love to see them go out and try to do a kickoff and see how far their kicks would go. And
maybe she's going to be a squib kick expert, right? I mean, some kickers do that. If she can place the ball at a certain area, maybe their return coverage is terrible and they don't want to kick it deep for somebody to return it. Maybe they want to do a squib kick.
Yeah,
use her there.
Yeah, we could have used her on that punt at the end of the first half against Florida. Maybe they wouldn't have brought it back for a touchdown. Maybe we could have used her in that game.
We'll make sure we put that in and make sure we tag Max Stuffy on that for Twitter. Thanks, Max, for your efforts.
We love you, Max Stuffy. You're great. It's just one bad whole career. It just
our best offensive player.
But the last thing I've got for this segment, Brandon, the NFL seems to be unable to avoid mass COVID-19 infections across multiple teams. The Denver Broncos, I don't know if you saw, the entire quarterback depth chart was wiped out for their games. They didn't have a single quarterback for the roster today. They had to put in one of their running backs in. We've now seen the San Francisco 49ers are not allowed to play home games because of restrictions that the county that they play in they've said no contact sports. We've seen the Baltimore Ravens. Their game against the Steelers has already been pushed back from Thanksgiving. It's now scheduled for Tuesday. So who knows if that game's even going to get in. Do you think the NFL needs to take a break? Because they seem all gung-ho and we're going to finish this season in 17 weeks. You think maybe they need to hit the reset button for a week or two?
Well, is it going to help anything, I think is the question. I mean, do you think that would actually help anything, Tyler, if they just took a break? Because from what we know, the community spread is happening more in people's own homes, with activities they're doing in their own home. So are you going to start policing what these guys do in their own home? Doubt it. So I don't think if you took 2 or 3 weeks off, it's going to matter. Is it really going to matter?
Well, if there's anything we know is that NFL athletes, when they have lots of downtime and free time, they're just going to stay quarantined. They're not going to be going out, and going to parties or, going out to any bars or, anything that may be open. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to be having mass gatherings like that. So
no, absolutely not.
I think if they shut it down for a week or two, everybody would just stay on their own. Everything would be just fine.
Oh boy, I wish there was a sarcasm when you're speaking in sarcasm that it would come through in your voice like some kind of change, because that was some heavy sarcasm, Tyler. That was some heavy sarcasm. That was great. I agree, man. To me, it doesn't do anything. It's not going to do anything. It's like a lot of these things, and I won't go on my soapbox and rant about this anymore because I'm tired of doing it. People are probably tired of hearing me do it. But just because you tell people not to do something, I mean, you're just going to give them more free time in their house to come up with ways to do other things. Next thing you know, they're going to have house parties. Oh, well, we can't go out and do it. Okay, well, we'll just have everybody over at my house.
Yeah, okay. Let's have the whole offensive line over, and then right back where we started.
Yeah, it's just not going to help. You either got to plow through it or close down the season, one of the two. There's really this in-between craps. It's not going to work.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting how the next few weeks, there's maybe 4 more weeks of the regular season left. So we'll see if things continue to get worse. It would be interesting to see what other positions teams don't have. Maybe teams have to play without a kicker, and they have to bring in
Sarah Fuller.
Yeah, she might get called up to the NFL sometime.
It's getting down to that. If you wipe out your whole depth chart, you better take anything you can get.
Or maybe somebody might actually sign Austin McGinnis too. That would be great. But that's all we have for segment 1 for our sports topics. But we've got some more very interesting things happen in the news this week that we want to talk about, and I'm interested to hear your opinion on some of these things, Brandon. But we're going to come right back for a second segment. So make sure you stay with us. We will be right back.
All right, welcome back to segment 2 of the Lakes Buds and Pick and Roll podcast. Again, we are via Zoom today. I'm recording from my hotel lobby, so I apologize for any background noise, but we're going to keep plowing away, Tyler. Our fans deserve it. And we texted back and forth about a lot of different topics outside of the sports world that I think a lot of people may be interested in, and we're just going to dive straight in and get going. Tyler, what do we got?
All right, so let's start with some game show news, which I know everyone is dying to hear the latest game show news. So yes. we talked about the unfortunate passing of Alex Trebek last week. Jeopardy has named a at least semi-permanent host replacement, which is going to be none other than Mr. Jeopardy himself. Ken Jennings is going to be hosting Jeopardy. Brandon, I cannot think of a better person to come in for this role. I mean, if you think about, if Jeopardy wanted someone to bring in that was familiar to the Jeopardy audience, you couldn't have gotten anybody better than Ken Jennings. Part of the comfort I feel like to people tuning in at 7 and 7:30 for Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy is that they've been seeing the same people, Pat Sajak, Vanna White, Alex Trebek for decades. We've watched them since we were little kids. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a absolute genius hire to put in Ken Jennings, who outside of Alex Trebek is, I don't think I could name any other Jeopardy contestant other than Ken Jennings, if I'm being honest. I couldn't name you another one other than maybe Sean Connery on Celebrity Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. That's all I got. So I think this is a great hire. I hope he ends up, who knows if he does a good job, but he seems to be very charismatic. He was on, he's been on multiple shows and celebrity shows since then. Seems to have a good personality. I think this is a good move. What do you think?
Yeah, there's nobody else. That is the choice. However, one thing I don't know is how that translates to hosting a game show. You could be a very charismatic person. You could be very smart and very, witty. But can you host the show and keep it running? Can you grab the viewer's attention? We don't know that yet. But if you're just going by it on paper, it's a no-brainer. It's a home run. That is the guy. He's young. He could host that show for years and years. The only thing that I don't know that he has, Alex would always have that kind of smarmy when you got the question wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not correct. He would make you feel like you're an idiot for not knowing the answer to this obscure question. I don't know if Ken Jennings has that nugget, but Alex had it in spades. I mean, he could be the nicest guy on the planet, and he could cut you down without yelling at you. You know what I mean? It was like the perfect balance. So I'm interested to see if Ken has that balance to pull off, because I think you need both sides. Alex has set the precedent for that show. You got to give the good, but you got to be able to cut people down. Say, oh, really? That's what you thought? Oh,
yeah, that's not right. That is a very good point. There is nobody who could make you feel smaller than Alex Trebek. I do think, Jeopardy might actually could save some money hiring Ken Jennings, because he probably already knows all the answers to all the questions. So he doesn't need the little cards that Trebek used to read off of with the answer, because he's already going to know the answer. So I think from a financial standpoint, think of all the money that Jeopardy could save printing out those little index cards. I think it's a win-win.
And it saves the planet. We're cutting down fewer trees. We don't have to use those cards. It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, this hiring of Ken Jennings might just save the world from global warming. Maybe.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes.
But speaking of solving some world's problems, we've seen yet another vaccine come out this week. So we're now up to 3 potential vaccines that all have shown very good success in the early clinical trials. Brandon, are you excited to see we now have potentially 3 vaccines coming out?
Tyler, I'm ready to take 3 shots. I'll take one in each arm and one in the leg. One of them will work. That's what I think.
I like it. Yeah.
Why not? This is good news. It has been, it was through Operation Warp Speed, which was basically the process to put all efforts and money and research into this vaccine to get it out quickly and safely. Essentially what that is. The fact that we're able to do it, I think, is awesome. But, the proof's in the pudding. I got to wait till it ships out and I see the first, syringe full of that vaccine. But I can tell you what, I'll be the first person in line. I've seen a lot of stuff online that says, 50% of Americans will not take it when it first comes out. Fine by me. That's less people in line. I'm sitting in here in Disney World right now. I hate waiting in lines. I've been waiting in lines for 6 days. So I personally can't wait to be in the front of the line. Oh, you don't want to take it? Great. I'll take yours. You don't want to take it? Great. I'll take this one over here. I'm all for it. And, I think when they release them, my wife and I were talking about this the other day. They should probably use it on people that are most vulnerable, the elderly,
Sure.
Probably your frontline healthcare workers, and then maybe even teachers, right? Because hospitals, and we need to get learning again, right? Maybe start with that. But if they say that it's open to everybody, I'm going to be the first one in line.
Yeah, I mean, 3 vaccines is better than 2, right? I mean, the more the better. The more potential solutions we have, let's keep it going. Let's get these things rolling out, and maybe we, I've seen reports we may have some out as early as next month in December. So
yeah, it makes you really proud as an American. To me, I look at it, I'm like, man, look at what we in March. We have 3 potential solutions by the end of this year for something that none of us knew anything about. That's a pretty cool thing, in my opinion. I think it should make everybody proud that we can do things like this, and that we can, put our heads together when a big problem comes up and actually fix something. This is a heck of that thing. It's a huge deal. So I'm excited about it.
100%. Now, Brandon, there was a video that came out this week that I want to know if you've seen it.
Okay.
I was scrolling through, my USA Today app, and I see this headline that says, Florida man rescues puppy from jaws of alligator.
I saw the headline, and I didn't get to read the article or see the video. Tyler, did you get to watch it?
Let me tell you, this it's incredible. You don't get. I watched the video. You don't get to see the puppy being snatched by the alligator. The video starts, and the man is in the water wrestling this alligator, and you see him just trying to pry the jaws of this alligator apart. So apparently, this guy, was walking his dog. Alligator attacks, and the puppy is in its mouth. It is chomping down on this little puppy dog. It's now if you're an animal person, or it's a little hard to watch because you just hear the puppy like yelping, and it's like kind of tugs at your heart. You're really, I mean, it's a terrible noise that the dog is making. So if you may want to turn the sound off if you watch it. But holy cow, this guy gets the puppy free, but then he gets his own arm stuck. The alligator clamps down on his arm. So then he's trying to, wrestle the alligator to get his own arm out. He finally does that. It's incredible. And the fact that he would risk his life for his dog. That's crazy. I don't know if I personally, I would want to say if I had a dog that I would go wrestle an alligator to save its life, but if we're being honest, I don't know that I would. So I give a lot of credit to this man, and if you've not seen the video, I would encourage everyone to go watch it. It is incredible what this guy did, and just amazing what people will do for their pets.
Can I ask you this, Tyler? Did he actually end up rescuing the dog? Did the dog survive?
So you see the dog, it runs away. The only injuries, it had some puncture wounds, and they took it to the vet, and it had some water in its lungs, and that was really the only.
That's it?
Yeah, it had water in its lungs because the alligator dragged it under the water. But other than that, it was totally fine. Amazingly.
That is unbelievable. I can tell you right now, there's probably, if there are any dogs listening to this show, they're probably not going to like this. I would not jump in and fight an alligator for a dog. The best I could do is pull out my handgun and try to shoot the alligator. But if I missed, I'd be like, you know what? I guess I'll just go get another dog. I'm not doing it, man. It seems like a losing battle.
Yeah. That's definitely the Eastern Kentucky solution. You and I are both from Eastern Kentucky. Instead of wrestling the alligator, we just pull out a gun and start shooting at it.
Yeah, the alligator didn't know him. I concealed carry, did he? Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but of course, you're probably not going to hit the alligator. It'll go back in the water. You'll never see it again, and you'll lose your dog. But like I said, I would probably just go get another dog. Maybe that's heartless of me. I would just move on with my life.
I think I'm with you, man. I think, sorry kids. The puppy ran away. I don't know where, he's living on a farm.
Now listen to this. This goes back to a previous show we had where we talked about, if you recall, the gorilla that had the kid down in the pit in the Cincinnati Zoo.
Yes,
I can't remember if this was on the show or if this was off air.
We did.
But would you jump in to a pit with a gigantic gorilla that's dragging your kid around to try to save it?
The other thing is, at the zoo, there are professionals there that, would have gone in to, use the tranquilizer. They were not at a zoo. Like, it was either he goes in and tries to save it, or that's it. There's no.
That's true.
There's no professional alligator wranglers anywhere nearby. Unfortunately,
apparently this guy needs to. He's in the wrong career field. You know what I mean? He needs to be an alligator wrangler. Jeez Louise, get this guy hired somewhere.
Yeah, just a crazy story. And one other weird story I saw this week that I wanted to mention. I don't know how big of a conspiracy theorist, aliens, ghost type person you are, Brandon.
I love it.
I have seen lots of people spouting off lots of conspiracy theories about this big structure that was found in the middle of the desert in Utah this past week. I'm sure you saw this. What are your thoughts? Are you believing there are aliens in Utah? I mean, I know it's close to Area 51.
So if anybody hasn't seen this, it's really interesting. So there's this, like, in the middle of the Utah desert, up in the hills, I think kind of in a cavern or like the opening of a cave or something. It's really weird. There's this big silver metal monolithic structure just sitting there away from everything. And it's just sitting there. And I think there's been people actually get to it now. They've been able to actually climb to it and get to it. I don't know what it is, but my first thought is, people make crop circles and do things to, make people think there's aliens. Somebody probably put this out as a project, say, I wonder what would happen if you just did something totally random like this. Put something that doesn't belong there just out there and wait to see if people find it. Because that's probably something I would do, to be honest. So when I saw it, I was like, it's a pretty good idea. I may try that one day. But to me, it's just people trying to perpetuate something and have some fun, or make people think, or make people wonder, and never really give an answer to it, but just put it there and see what people make out of it.
So you're no aliens is what you're saying. You don't think this was bad?
I don't think aliens would be that dumb.
Well,
do I think there's aliens? Probably. That's another show.
Okay, yeah, we'll say that another day. I agree with you. I think this is just some dude who did this, just seeing what people would think when they found it.
Oh, so you agree? Okay, I didn't know what you were going to go with on that.
Yeah, I'm not a ghost. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think there are aliens that are coming to Earth to build structures in the Utah desert. So I'm not buying any of the conspiracy theories. But it is an interesting story, and I love seeing people, talking about all these ideas that they have of what it means.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it or seen the picture, Google it. Just, structure in Utah desert. It'll pop right up. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, some sad news from this past week. Boy, the 90s country singers have had a rough go of it lately. We saw Joe Diffie pass away earlier this year. Another of the big 90s country singer, at least in my mind, Hal Ketchum, passed away this past week. If you're not a big country music fan, you may have never even heard of Hal Ketchum. I mean, he's not one of the, one of those names that stick out to just a casual fan. But if you're a big 90s country music fan, late 80s, early 90s, I mean, Hal Ketchum, Small Town Saturday Night, man.
That's so good.
Doesn't get any better. So was very disappointed, very sad to see him. I love Small Town Saturday Night. I don't care what small town you grew up in America. If you listen to Hal Ketchum's Small Town Saturday Night, it is about your town. I hear that, and I'm instantly back in my hometown, driving down Main Street with nothing to do, looking for something to get into trouble with. It's just a great song. So very sad,
and it's timeless. Those lyrics speak. We've advanced so much as a civilization since then. Technology-wise and all these things, but all of the lyrics in that movie still apply somewhere in a small town. It's unbelievable. So yeah, between him and Joe Diffie, if I'm Sammy Kershaw, I'm trying to live in a bubble right now. I'm nervous. This is like Final Destination, the movie where they do things in order. So maybe there's something going on with 90s country singers that we don't know about. I just don't like it. This is what I grew up on. I love Sammy Kershaw.
Yeah, Sammy Kershaw.
I'm nervous for him. Sawyer Brown. I'm getting nervous, man. But How Ketchum, he also did a remake of Past the Point of Rescue as well, which is another good song. But Small Town Saturday Night, if you don't do anything else besides listening to this show today, after you get done listening, go on YouTube, search Small Town Saturday Night, and you will not be disappointed. It's great.
It is. And Brandon, I've got two more topics for you. Both are Netflix related, so we can call this our Netflix updates.
I love Netflix. I like where we're going with this.
Our Lex Buds and Pick and Roll Netflix Spectacular is what we'll call this segment. First off,
creative, Tyler.
The number one kind of trending show right now, I don't know if you've seen it, but I actually, over Thanksgiving break, binge watched all 7 episodes of The Queen's Gambit. Have you heard of this show, or do you know anything about it?
I've seen it at the top where it's saying this is number 1 or number 2 in the U.S. today, when you go on Netflix. But other than that, no, I don't know anything about it. Couldn't tell you the first thing about The Queen's Gambit.
Well, my wife and I got hooked on it, and it is actually, I don't know if you know this, it is set in Lexington, Kentucky.
What?
Yeah, it is set in Lexington.
Tyler, come on,
you're
lying.
But it is about this little girl who grows up in an orphanage, and they give her these pills. They're like sedatives that keep all the kids in line. This is it's set in the 1960s, so it's back when that sort of thing was legal. So when she gets these sedatives, she learns how to play chess, and it, I guess, makes her high or whatever. And she can visualize a chessboard up on the ceiling and can see all the different chess pieces moving in every different scenario. So she becomes like this savant chess player growing up in this orphanage. She becomes she becomes the number 1 player in Kentucky, and then she becomes the number 1 player in the U.S., and then she starts going to Europe and Russia to take on all the evil Russian chess players. I did not know that chess could be so compelling, but man, it sucked me in, and chess can be pretty intense. I'm kind of wanting to learn how to play chess now.
Wow. So maybe next year, Tyler, we need to start the inaugural Lex Buds and Pick and Roll chess tournament for something, for rabies research or something. We'll go do the whole office thing or something, have a big check. No, I didn't know anything about the show. I just saw kind of the pictures that would pop up when I got on Netflix, and I had no clue it was set in Lexington. That's crazy. You would think more people would be talking about that. Why haven't I seen this in my news feed on Facebook, or we haven't really seen it on Twitter either, as far as I know? Why isn't it a bigger deal in Kentucky? That seems like a big story.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely catching on. In the show, the Kentucky State Chess Tournament takes place. It's at Henry Clay High School. There are several references to New Circle Road. There's just a lot of little things thrown in there that people outside of Kentucky wouldn't think twice of. They're like, oh, hey, Henry Clay High School, New Circle Road. It's just a lot of Kentucky references that are thrown in. But I wanted to bring this up because apparently there has now been a resurgence in popularity of chess. Like, all these toy companies for Christmas are selling out of chessboards. Like, apparently chessboards have become the Tickle Me Elmo of 2020, that people can't find chessboards for their kids for Christmas.
Really?
So it just kind of got me thinking, what were some other shows or movies that have had such a cultural impact on people the way that maybe Queen's Gambit has had for chess? Can you think of any?
Wow. Well, if I'm thinking back, probably Top Gun had a big influence on people wanting to, fly fighter jets. Obviously I haven't seen the movie, but from what I can gather, everybody's like, yeah, man, I saw Top Gun. That was so killer. I want to go do that.
Yeah.
It kind of shifted that into like a cool profession. Like, oh, you were a fighter pilot? Pretty cool, man.
Yeah. I think you nailed it with that one. I've read articles about how many people signed up for the Air Force in the years following Top Gun. Everybody thought they were going to be Tom Cruise flying a fighter jet. I don't know. That was the one I was going to say. I don't know. Maybe maybe Forrest Gump had a big impact on the box chocolate industry. I don't know.
There's a chance. That's a good point.
Yeah, just really interesting how this has just created a huge influx of people wanting to learn and play chess because of this show. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, chess it's a little over my head. I know there were some guys I went to high school with that were really good at it, and I was like, well, I'll try to jump in here on a game. And within 2 or 3 moves, I was checkmated. It's unbelievable. I got checked. Yeah, I mean, within just a handful of moves. So it's really embarrassing when you know what to do in chess. You can make people look stupid because I was on the other end of that. But I think it's good. Kids are learning these. I was going to say chess is an old school game, but it literally is. It's been played for years and years and years. So I think it's cool that it's had this resurgence. Maybe when people are sitting around in their house trying to learn new things, maybe they're picking up the chessboard now. Maybe they're tired of playing Candy Crush on their phone with their friends 12 hours a day. Maybe they want to do something different. I have no problem if they want to pick up chess or checkers or whatever else. I think it's good. Anything that gets people off of screens like we're on right now, recording this video call, is a good thing. So I applaud it.
Yeah, there probably won't ever be a Netflix show about the world's greatest Candy Crush player. So I think that's safe.
No, nobody's going to watch that. Nobody.
But check it out, Queen's Gambit, Brandon. Highly recommend it. Very good show.
Yeah, I will check that out. I'm excited to see it.
My other piece of Netflix news for you today. I know this is probably my favorite show anywhere right now. I know it's very high on your list, which is Stranger Things. Stranger Things 4 is coming out. I don't think they've set a date yet, but some news came out about some additions to the cast for Stranger Things 4. Have you seen who is going to be in the latest season?
So I just saw one person's name, and I couldn't get past that first name, but I'll let you tell everybody who that is.
All right. It is none other than Freddy Krueger himself. Robert Englund is going to be in Stranger Things.
I'm so excited.
How exciting is that, man?
Dude, I am so excited. I love Nightmare Before Elm Street. I mean, it literally used to petrify me to go to sleep at some points because I had watched that movie. He is a very integral part to my upbringing. Not that he raised me or anything, but he scared the heck out of me for a number of years, and I loved him in the movies up to a certain point. And so for me, it's just part of my story. You know, it's part of like the stuff that I liked when I grew up is him in that movie. So to see him join one of my favorite shows of all time, it couldn't be any better for me. I'm excited, man. I love it. Can't wait to see how they use him. The show has been very, very good. I thought last season with season 3 was very creative in the way that they brought in, you know, the whole Russian thing and all that kind of stuff. It was very creative. And they've created a lot of iconic scenes and moments that people wear T-shirts of all over the place. I can tell you that. I'm in Disney right now. People wear a ton of Stranger Things stuff here for some reason as well. I don't know what's going on. But the show knows how to capture iconic moments. It's set in the 80s, and, you know, if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, that plays right into it, right? You know, Robert Englund's in these movies that were so integral to the 80s, and now he's going back into a show that's set in that time period as well. Couldn't be happier, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah, as we're recording this, I'm down in my man cave in the basement right now because the kids are asleep. So this is the only place I can come where I can not wake them up. But I am looking at, Brandon, across the other wall in my man cave, I have a signed Robert Englund Elm Street sign that is signed by Robert Englund. So that tells you how big of a fan I am. Yeah. This is like it's like when the first person combined peanut butter and chocolate. I mean, this is just bringing two things together. Both are great on their own. Nightmare on Elm Street is great. Robert Englund's great. Stranger Things is great. But now we're bringing them together, and I am really excited to see what he brings to the show. He's just in general just a creepy dude.
Like, he's got a look. He looks creepy.
Yeah, even when he's not wearing the Freddy Krueger makeup, just if you see Robert Englund walking down the street, that's like you're going to the other side of the street because he just looks like a creepy dude that you want nothing to do with. So I'm pumped. I can't wait to see how season 4 turns out. And I honestly, I was hoping that they were going to actually incorporate the Freddy Krueger character when I saw he's going to be in it. So it's set in the 80s, so they could have been, watching Nightmare on Elm Street and, whatever.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. I doubt it. I doubt
it would be awesome,
but it would be really cool to see.
But they're also, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, they've also added someone from the Game of Thrones cast. Don't know his name. The guy who played the faceless man in the Game of Thrones.
Really? I did not know that.
Is going to be in this new season.
Okay. Very interesting. I love Game of Thrones. You know my thoughts on Game of Thrones. I absolutely love it.
I do. So lots of new faces coming to Stranger Things. I'm very excited. And that is your official Lex Buds Pick and Roll Netflix spectacular update. I hope the people enjoyed it, Brandon.
I love it. I was hoping you were going to call it the Netflix Spectacularooza or whatever, Lollapalooza. I don't know, whatever you call those things. But I like that too, the Netflix Spectacular. Just as good, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more of these Netflix updates as well, we always, we say this all the time. We want to do content that you all want to hear. So if you want our updates and opinions on Netflix stuff, let us know. We love talking about it. We're both TV and movie nerds, Tyler. I think it's safe to say.
100%.
So we are totally for doing that. Just let us know. Leave us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, on Twitter at LexBuds. However you want to contact us, it'd be cool. So this was a fun show, Tyler. That was the last thing, right?
That was it. That was it. We covered everything, unless you've got some Disney World updates. But I did want to ask you, how was the Star Wars ride? I know you got to do the new Star Wars. What's it called? The
Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah. How was it?
Dude, it's pretty intense. Do you want me to give you the 1 minute spiel on it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so basically you're fighting you're fighting the bad guys, right? You're part of the resistance. And you get captured and you get taken on the ship. And when you get captured on the ship, they are all in character, just like you've landed on, Darth Vader's ship. They're all very stoic. They have the gray black uniforms and they talk to you like you're an idiot. You walk into this room that's filled with stormtroopers with guns and stuff like that, and they're moving around. It's kind of creepy. And the ride itself is really cool. You get to see the gigantic snow walkers. Like, you get a ride right underneath them, and they're humongous. They're huge. And you got stormtroopers shooting at you. You've got Kylo Ren trying to track you down. It's pretty dang cool. If you're coming to Disney World, there is a way you have to sign up to get to go on the ride. I won't go through the details on that because you probably don't want to hear it. But just know you can't just show up that day and expect to jump on the ride. It won't happen. So do some research on how to get on that ride the day before, or you won't get on.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
It sounds amazing, and it looks amazing. As a Star Wars fan, it's definitely on my bucket list to get to do that. So I'm very jealous.
Crazy.
Very jealous that you got to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But we've been doing the parks for today was our 5th day. Tomorrow will be our 6th day of parks. So my legs and ankles are killing me. I'm definitely closer to 40 than I am 30, and I can feel that. I'm in a lot of pain. Yet, Tyler, I brought down the computer to the lobby of this Disney resort to record this after a full day at the park because our audience deserve that. And that's how we roll up in Lex Buds and Pick and Roll. That's how we do it.
You are like Willis Reed coming back out for the New York Knicks after his injury. You're a baller.
I was walking like Willis Reed. You just seen me. It was pretty bad. It looked like I'd been shot right in the knee or something like that. I was limping in here. But you know what? We don't want to miss it. We don't want to miss providing great content for you. So if you like what you hear, always download us basically on any podcast player you use. You can find us at lexbuds.com, on Twitter at lexbuds, Facebook. Look for us, Lexbuds and Pick and Roll. And like we mentioned earlier, we're going to have a couple tweaks to the show, as Calipari would say. We're just doing a little tweak. We're going to get for next week. We're really excited to do that. And Tyler, if you got nothing else, I say we call it a day and try to get this ending right this time. There's always a delay on video. I think we can do it. Are you ready?
Okay, let's do it.
1, 2, 3.
Stay classy, Kentucky.
Just as good as always.
You just stopped.
That's because you weren't doing it. There's like a 1 second delay. There's a 1 second delay.
That's
All right.
disappointing.
We'll see you guys next time.